Yeah. All right.
I'd like to call the neighborhood board meeting to order tonight. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Okay, as a reminder, I've been asked by the Neighborhood Commission Office to remind all board members, please fill out that form they sent you as an email, giving your contact information. So if you haven't received that, please call Anson. He can send it to you again. Basically, they're taking away the use of City Hall as an address for you. So they're asking to do that. For attendees, board voted on the limit speech from the audience to 2 minutes. To help you with that, we have a little 2-minute thingy over here. Okay, first on our agenda would be the Honolulu Fire Department. I don't see a fire department here. Oh, they're coming. Fire department's on the way. Police department, you want to go first?
Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Angela Kitagawa for Night Watch in District 6, and I'll be going over the stats in comparison from last month. For robberies, this month we had 6. Previously, we had 6 as well. For burglaries, this month we had 19. Previously, we had 13. For thefts, this month we had 108. Previously, we had 162. For UMVs, this month 6. Previously, 16. For assaults, this month 35. Previously, we had 45. For sex crimes this month, there was 4, where previously there was 7. For bike, skateboard on sidewalks, this month was 2, where previously it was 1. For speeding, we had 60 citations, where previously last month there was 71. For parking, this month was 1,590. Previously, it was 1,879. For loud muffler prohibited noise, this month was 3, previously was 2. Park closures, we had 84 citations with 29 arrests, where previously we had 85 citations with 19 arrests. Total calls for service this month was 4,610, where previously it was 5,145. Thank you.
Okay. Questions from the audience for the Honolulu Police Department? Jacob.
Aloha, Jacob Winsack. Thank you for taking the time to come here, speak to the neighborhood board. I wanted to give a shout out to you guys. We had that sudden power outage, stoplight outage. What was it, last Wednesday now?
It's like 4 nights, I believe we had
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So definitely I saw the presence of HPD. You guys were proactively managing traffic. You had good traffic flow and control. It was better than when the lights usually work, even though, you know, you still had the same, especially afternoon rush hour traffic. So definitely good job. And we want more of that, especially when there's like parades, street festivals, things like that. I know this has been a topic that's been coming up. So good job doing it last week. And I hope we see more of that as we need it moving forward. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Other questions from the audience? Tim.
Hello. I'd just like to encourage HPD if there's an incident where you guys can either cite somebody or arrest them, please arrest them, because our prosecutor is not following through on any of these citations. It's kind of like in COVID when you guys gave out 49,000 tickets and it wasted your time and all of them got thrown in the trash. But we've noticed that when you guys cite somebody in lieu of arresting them, the prosecutors are not following through even on the citations or the court system. So I just encourage you, hook them up, take them down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shannon Smith. Was curious, I noticed in our alley at Cartwright, there's one of those weed buggies or whatever they've set up where they're saying you don't need your card or whatever. Should we report those when we see those, or what can we do?
That can be reported to our narcotics division. They have a special way of looking into the permits and any operations that might need to be done for that.
Is that-
Patrol side of it, like access to the permitting and stuff like that would be a little bit more difficult. So the narcotics division, which I believe is already aware of it.
Okay,
But any of that can be forwarded to them. And that is on our website too as well. I don't have that offhand, but.
okay, so just look on the website, don't call 911, just call the narcotics.
Yeah, unless something actively,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
John, followed by Roth.
Hi, Lieutenant John Dutzman. Just wanted to get this on the records, the last meeting of the year. Several months ago, we started complaining about the zoo noise, the motorcycles and the loud music, and you guys solved that problem. Crossing my fingers. It's been months now, and whatever you did, it went away. I want to thank you for it. As an example that working together from the community and you guys and the board, we can make things better. Thanks.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Roth.
Yeah, essentially, I wanted to say thank you for the same thing. The motorcyclists in the zoo lot seem to now understand that their revving motors was disturbing the animals. And so it doesn't happen anymore. And so I just wanted to thank you all. I see some blue lights from time to time running through that parking lot, and I think that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Anybody online with a question? No. Go ahead.
Yes. Hey, good evening. Any idea when the last SPO enforcement was done over at Fort DeRussy Beach, right by the Hilton Pier?
Are you asking when it was done?
Yeah.
I don't have that off. Fort DeRussy, that one I know we were looking into because of the signage and stuff, whether it's city and county and stuff was kind of confusion, but I don't have offhand when the SPO was over there specifically. Is there a specific problem that?
Yeah, the kind of community of encampments is getting larger and larger. I was out of town for a while and I came back and it went from a couple people to now it's about 5 or 6 encampments.
And do you know if it's on the military side or?
It's on the beach side.
The beach side,
Yeah,
okay.
and I know I'm familiar with kind of historically how the jurisdiction's kind of
Right,
difficult.
yeah.
And I think parks actually put up the signs so that the beach closure could be enforced.
Right, and then I believe the city at one point was saying they didn't put up those signs, so that's why I know we were trying to get clarification on that. However, I'll have them take a look at that as well. Our ATVs I know do go over there, so I'll have them follow up on that.
I think you Lieutenant.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Greg?
Aloha, how are you?
Hi.
Greg Masakian. I live on Keoniana Street, and I've noticed most recently we've had a lot more people kind of sleeping, hanging out on the corner there where Keoniana and Kalakaua, and on the other side also on Pau Street. And there's a building I have trespass authority for. I have never trespassed anybody there. What I would normally do is just call police and they would come and address. But I'd hope that you could maybe do a little more patrolling and kind of move those people along with help. So get is it the Hono team or or there's an outreach team that will come to assist? Because there are definitely people that need help. And there's been quite a few of them in the last, I'd say, month and a half to 2 months.
So for referrals for that can start with us for the, I don't know specifically any units actually coming out. I mean, something maybe we can work with our community policing team. If you do have the authority for some trespass and if they are on your property, it does help to actually follow through with trespass warnings and stuff, because then it gives us more authority to do more than just say, hey, get out of here. They'll get more of the point that this isn't a welcomed area if they are on that property specifically. However, I can have, people take a look over there and refer out some certain.
I would appreciate it. You always have officers that are at the gas station there. So there's always somebody in there.
Sure,
And
understand.
it's right near where the food trucks, the second
Yeah.
food truck group is going. So that's the
Yeah.
other side, both sides.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Thank you very much.
Anything else for the Honolulu Police Department? See nothing online, nothing at the board members. Thank you very much for being with us
Thank you very
tonight.
much. Happy holidays to everybody.
And next, Honolulu Fire Department. Oh, there he is.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Captain Sherman from the Waikīkī Fire Station. I'll just go over some of our October statistics. For the month of October, we had no structure fires, no brush fires. We had one nuisance fire, one cooking fire, and 17 activated alarms with no fire. Our medical side or emergencies, we had 224 medical emergencies, one motor vehicle collision involving a pedestrian, multiple motor vehicle collision, no mountain rescues, no ocean rescues, and no hazardous materials. For the fire department, this month's safety tip regards cooking. So food is a unique way of bringing the family and friends together, especially during the holidays, and cooking can be a relaxing activity. However, it is important to be aware of that cooking fires are the leading cause of home fires and home injuries. So following a few steps will assist in preventing some of these. One would be staying alert while cooking. If you consumed alcohol or feel sleepy, drowsy, or have medication, avoid cooking or having assistance. Always stay in the kitchen while cooking. Never leave the stove and heated items and appliances unattended. Use a timer to remind yourself to keep a good check on your food and regular inspections. Keep combustibles such as oven mitts, food packaging away from the stovetops while cooking to prevent potential fires. And lastly, keep children and pets away from fire and cooking areas.
Do we have any questions from the audience for the Honolulu Fire Department? From the board members from the Honolulu Fire Department? From people online? Wow, nobody wants to talk to you tonight.
I'm not a very popular person. It's okay.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you. Have
coming.
a happy holidays.
Next, we have Dominic from Board of Water Supply. Dominic, you're online, I believe.
Yep, I'm here. This will be real quick. We had no main breaks in Waikīkī last month. We have no construction. Just want to remind people you can always keep up on main breaks. You can check our website, boardofwatersupply.com/main breaks. We also post a lot of our work and road related issues on our Facebook and Nextdoor pages, as well as H&L Alert. That said, I'd be happy to take any questions on behalf of the Board of Water Supply.
Members of the audience, do we have any questions for the Board of Water Supply? Members of the board? Yes, Nate?
Hey, good evening. At Kalama, I didn't get a chance to check out the outage report, but do you have any information about the water leak that was happening by Hobron Lane? As I was coming over here, you had some of your crews working on it.
I know if it was today, I don't have anything for you, but I will follow up on that and definitely have information next month. I could also send board chair some updates if I find anything out this week.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions for the Board of Water Supply? Anything online? I see no hands. Okay, Dominic, thank you for being with us tonight.
All right, thank you.
Next, we have our citizens' concerns for items not covered on the regular agenda. Somebody in the audience, Jacob, you have some concern.
Thank you, Chair. Jacob Winsek here. Over the last month since segment 2 of Skylines opened, we've had some changed bus routes that have impacted Waikīkī, specifically the addition of the new W line. If you look at some of the written testimony between last month's meeting and this month's meeting, there's definitely some promise in this line, but it definitely needs some changes, especially where the end station is. It terminates and starts over there on Kapahulu by the zoo. So I know there's some traffic management concerns there that need to be ironed out. And as the line is proceeding through Waikīkī, there's a big gap where there's not any stations, or there's a big gap between the station outbound on El Moanas there, and there's another from the previous station, which is by the Ritz-Carlton. So that excludes a lot of residents who could be using it for for their daily commute or going somewhere, what have you. So I would encourage the city, our elected officials and our mayor's representative here to really over the next month look at retooling, reorganizing this W line. Like I said, it's got promise. I've taken it a few times myself. It's been great for my morning commute, but it doesn't work as well as it could or should. And I hope we revisit it, get the stops right, and make sure we resolve the traffic management concerns on Kapahulu. Mahalo.
Thank you. John? Oh, sorry, sir, I didn't see you standing back there.
Go ahead, brother.
Since we're on that topic, because I did submit some testimony into the board. I hope they received that last Thursday regarding that bus line. I can view that several times and I've taken pictures and photos. The big concern that I have is a big pedestrian safety issue with that location. They've parked it where it now overtakes 5 parking metered spaces. So there's no lost revenue to the city in that spot. There is about twice the distance of amount for parking if they were to put it, as they said, Makai off of Kalakaua after the left turn, the bus, I'm referring to the bus stop there. The biggest issue is the buses tend to stack up and they literally are in the the crossing for the pedestrians. I've seen people try to cut in between buses or have to walk completely down the street and get around the bus. So it's very, very unsafe in that regard. And so the other thing is they're much closer to hotels. There's more parking space. And it's only about less than a minute walk distance if they were just to relocate that. So I really hope the board could advocate for that with the city. And I did submit online to the bus about this issue.
Could I ask both of you to send me an email with the specific areas that you're concerned with, and I'll forward it to the city?
It was submitted to the board office email. Does anyone
Yeah.
receive this?
Yes, and they'll forward it to me.
Okay. So if you
Okay.
don't get it, my email is on the list over there.
I-
Mike Butel.
Yeah, I do know that the Department of Transportation is engaged in a battle about bus drivers. They might walk off, so I think they're really tied up with that now, but I'll send it forward to them. John?
Yeah, last meeting of the year, just wanted to say we've made some progress. The safety committee might not know this, but 2 of their 3 items that they passed through the board have happened. McDonald's has a security guard now. And the last one I met is a real hard ass. So that's working out well. And today they tore out all the cement picnic tables. So that's 2 down. The church feeding is the only one that hasn't happened yet. Every twice a year, University of Hawaii and WBID does a homeless count right in Waikīkī. The Oahu count didn't happen this year for whatever reason. In our core area from Kuhio Beach, Kalakaua, the stuff I focus in on, the stuff that WBID focuses in on, and the police with enforcement, our homeless count is down 78% in the last 3 years. That's the good news. The bad news is they do kind of count Ala Moana Beach Park in our count for whatever reason and across the Alawai and blah, blah, blah. Those numbers really haven't changed that much after 3 years. And the Fort DeRusi thing, I hear that that's picked up. They count the people sleeping in their cars, and there's a lot of them along Kapiolani Park. Almost everybody there. So I don't count them, but they do. But overall, the point is when we focus in on a specific area with enforcement and outreach and driving people crazy and doing things with design and all that, things improve. Thanks to everybody here.
Tim, you had something?
Yeah, real quick. I just want to echo what John said. I don't know if it was your vote at the last meeting on those issues, but it got the mayor's attention, got Mike Formby's attention. He texted me Sunday after I talked to him, and he said he was going to order them taken out. That was 2 days. So things can happen. And you people are the ones that persuade these decisions. We got to focus on the church. The church is a huge magnet. They say they want to do good, they're virtuous, but they can't understand at the same time when they think they're virtuous, they're actually causing lots of negativity. They're not doing very well. I find it ironic that that church is the third wealthiest church in the Roman Catholic Diocese, anywhere in the world. But they lock it up like San Quentin. They open up Sunday for a couple masses and they have confession. But they're doing the community danger, acting virtuous. So I'm going to try and persuade you guys to keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Any other concerns from the audience? Please use a microphone over there. Careful.
Hi, I echo that. Thank you for what you do and for taking the time to make people know what's needed by the community. Mine was just a recap on the parking in Alawai, at the other end of Alawai Boulevard. Now they've taken to towing the cars away after the street sweeper's been. So my issue is that I care for a couple of people in my building and they cannot get care on Mondays and Fridays. And now I've been doing some research and every Friday and Monday I've been taking photos. The ground is not dirty. It's just got leaves and things from the trees. It would be much better if we could look at a couple of things. One is employing somebody who's out of work along that area to pick up the papers and be an ambassador for the area. You wouldn't have to pay for the street sweeper to come twice a week. And then unfortunately, there's another thing going on where there is something between the police and the tow truck drivers because they're making it that some cars can stay and others are towed, but they're towed after the street sweeping is being done. So it's not to try and get them out of the way of the tow truck. We can't have people move in and out of our building and you can't have anyone come to drop off anything, even the Amazon or the post office. And when they try and come, the police say, I will ticket anyone who is here. And if you have a ticket, then you can be towed. So it's really hard for people to live in that area. And now we're going to hear about 40 more units coming in there. So I just wanted to let people know.
Thank you. Any other concerns from the audience? Any other concerns online? Seeing none, we'll move on. Public Safety Committee. Jillian, are you ready for your report?
Yes. So first off, it's fantastic to hear that the work of the Public Safety Committee is already having an impact. So thank you to everyone who's been involved with those efforts, and hopefully we can make some more happen tonight. Just to give a brief update, the last meeting of our Public Safety Committee was on September 30th. And at that time, our guest speaker was Director Tommy Johnson of our Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. And he provided us with a really in-depth update regarding the building of the new OCCC, regarding the current state of our correctional system, and much more. But following that, our committee did vote to pass through 2 resolutions, which we'd like to present to the board tonight to pass as a board as a whole. So I did leave copies for all board members. The first resolution is supporting crisis intervention and travel assistance teams at the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport. And I'm sure that we're all aware that there are individuals who arrive at our airport who are experiencing mental and behavioral health crises, who don't have end destinations and will end up on night one on our streets. So you might be first wondering, why is the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board taking up a resolution regarding the airport? But really, this is that final place where we can maybe have that conversation with somebody and voluntarily send them back to wherever they came, or to at least have them be aware of the sorts of services and programs that we have before they return, before they perhaps come to Waikīkī. On the state level, we have the Return to Home program that does require an individual to have someone on the receiving end. But the Waikīkī Business Improvement District on a more local level is now also starting up this program, and it's more so just the individual having to agree to go. They don't need someone on that receiving end, which has really made it a much easier transition. But we did some research and we found that major airports across the US, so LAX, Chicago O'Hare, San Francisco, Seattle Tacoma, they have these on-site crisis intervention teams right at the airport, and they're able to respond to situations with homeless individuals, provide de-escalation, connect people with services. So we'd like to propose this particularly. If you see on the back, we would provide copies to the governor, the Hawaii Department of Transportation Airports Division, and our Hawaii State Legislature, just to look into these sort of programs and to perhaps create a program here. And we also added in travel assistance, being that we are so geographically isolated. If someone did choose to leave, that would have to also be through our airport. So there are some systems in place in LA and New York City that regard travel assistance. So sort of looking at this holistically and as to whether this is something that we can fund for our airport. So I guess I'll take any questions before we maybe go to vote.
Yes, I assume that's a motion to support the resolution.
Yes.
Do we have a second? We have a second. Discussion, board members. Any thoughts on this? Any thoughts?
No, I just have a question. I know, no, and I support this, of course. I'm just kind of curious, how are they going to identify? I mean, and I see that it's voluntary, so it's not going to, these guys aren't going to be like cops waiting at the airport trying to profile people, right? I mean, so I assume. So I guess my question is, how would they identify people who potentially could benefit from this program? Are they, is somebody going to refer them? Are they going to look at them? Do you know how it will actually work?
That's a really good question. I know it is in effect in so many places, so we'd have to maybe research that more. This was actually proposed by Jacob Winsek, our Public Safety Committee member. I don't know if you have that detail and information.
While wait for Jacob, just, as a police officer, I was a crisis intervention team officer. And what we're following here, they are police officers. These other airports that Jillian referred to, it's police departments in those jurisdictions that have officers in the airports that are crisis intervention team trained. So they are officers. I don't know specifically how Honolulu Airport is going to have this. That'll be up for them to figure out. But they are generally police officers. And what we do is, the way we identify people is basically just our observations. We'll get a 911 call. Somebody says there's somebody in a street corner screaming and yelling at everybody that drives by. So we'll go out there and say, hi, how you doing? And find out maybe they're on medication, but they're not taking it. Maybe they had some type of traumatic incident that just happened they need help with, things like that. So that's how how crisis intervention team officers identify people. It's just our observations, what people report to us, and we just try to assist them and try to have an understanding of how we can maybe help them.
See, they suggested that this would be a good idea then, right? I think is what you're saying.
Yes.
Oh.
Jacob, comment.
Hey, Jacob, one sec here. Yeah, no, so definitely really great working on researching this resolution. Really came from these awesome discussions that our public safety chair, Jillian Anderson here, has been putting together. And one of the more enlightening conversations I think it was already spoken about was our initial one, where that airport is really that last stop before someone gets to Waikīkī to convince someone coming here to be homeless to turn around. And I think that, just from the conversations that we've been able to have, a lot of, there's some known relationships, known sender areas on the mainland who send people to Hawaii to be homeless, essentially. And I think, obviously we don't have a fully written program ready for the state to execute here, right? But I think there is a path forward in terms of, the experience Tim was talking about, having that specific training, making those observations along with, I think there's an opportunity here to build relationships with airline companies, with these sender and identifying these known sender areas where you can sort of have this continuous, hey, this person looks like they're going to be homeless coming here, or they've got some worrying characteristics. This crisis intervention team here can meet them at the airport. And if they are homeless, they've got nowhere to go, no support system here, we can facilitate their way back home somewhere. So that way, you're not just coming here to be homeless. I know we have a generous spirit here, spirit of aloha is always talking about, but, in cases like these, it's really abused. So I think having some sort of team at the airport, sort of running block and tackle is what we need. And it'll, sending someone here to be homeless ultimately doesn't help the individual, and it doesn't help the community at large. Hopefully that clears a lot of things up. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine? Catherine, you're online?
Yes, while I applaud the sentiment of this resolution, I question whether, number one, we have the authority to advise or implement this resolution. Secondly, I think we're out of our district. So it'd be very hard for me to support this resolution.
Okay. Other comments from the board members, from the audience? John, sorry.
Real quickly, if you study the homeless numbers in Oahu, they're pretty stable over the last 15 years. It seems like it's increasing, but it's really not. It's about 4,300, goes up and down, went up a little bit last time around. But we get the last count, we got 590 new arrivals, a year in Oahu. So any way that we can decrease the arrivals and increase the departures, that's how we solve the problem. Something is going right with 590 new people and we're still stable. But if there's any way of sending people back, whether they've been here just for a day or 3 weeks or many years, sending them back and stopping them from coming, that will help us enormously.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I didn't see the word homeless in the resolution. Maybe I missed it. And I just wonder if that would be legal to turn homeless people around and send them back. Much as we would like to, it's November, we're going to get a big surge right now. But is that the intention behind this resolution, as Jacob described it?
Yeah, I say that that's the end intention, but you're right, in the be it resolved statements, it doesn't explicitly say. And also, like, we don't necessarily maybe want to profile or regarding what we can and cannot do, but it would be for individuals who do need a place to stay or access to programs, which would usually be classified as.
I just wanted to be very careful.
Just the fourth line down, I see the word homelessness. It is addressed, it's just one of many things that the team would work on. So the word homeless is in there, but it's just one of many issues that the crisis intervention team may have to deal with. I personally don't see this as necessarily targeting homeless people. That's definitely not the intent, at least when I was a CIT officer. It's just to help people. And a lot of those people are coming to Waikīkī because it's the #1 tourist location and they come to the airport.
I was just concerned because we're on very thin ice when we talk about kicking a group of people out of Hawaii. But this still has to go to the legislature, and I'm sure that only about 5% of the words in here will be the same when it comes out. So having heard no more discussion on this, I'd like to call for a roll call vote in favor or against this.
Oh, okay. When I call your name, please say yes, no, or abstain regarding the resolution to support crisis intervention and travel assistance teams to Daniel K. Inouye International Airport. Okay. Amu? Yes. Anderson?
Yes.
Yes. Norrell? Yes. Carbonaro? Oh, no, she's online. Lisa?
Yes.
Okay. D. Orazio? Okay. Urchek? Okay. Felix? Okay. Finley? Okay. Yes. Okay. Hensky?
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay. Okay. Height?
Yes.
Okay. Daniel Jacob?
Yes.
Daniel? Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sirota? Okay. Yes. Smith? Okay. And Sarah Worth?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's 14 yes and 1 abstain. The motion is adopted.
Your next resolution?
Yes, I just have one more resolution that the Public Safety Committee also passed, and this is perhaps a topic that's less familiar to most, so I'll try to do a good job of explaining it. But essentially, there's an initiative called Reentry 2030, and this is organized by the Council of State Governments, which is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization, and they function as a forum for state officials to exchange ideas and collaborate on shared challenges. And in this case, it has to do with recidivism. So back in 2019, it was found that 54% of our criminals here in Hawaii are repeat offenders, and that's double the national average of 27%. If you do a cost value to it, that's $72,000 per year to house an inmate. So we do have a major issue with repeat offense. And what this Reentry 2030 initiative is an opportunity for states to commit themselves to tailored goals for their states in order to reduce these key data points. Right now, 7 states have joined: Missouri, Alabama, North Carolina, Nebraska, New York, Washington, and Arizona. And each one focuses on something unique to their state. So one state is focusing on making sure that inmates attain GEDs when they're incarcerated. Another one looks at making sure that they have stable housing options once they're released. Another one's looking at healthcare. So it would really just be an opportunity for the state of Hawaii to join on, possibly be the 8th state as part of this initiative. And it would provide us with access to resources and sort of join this think tank to be able to assess our recidivism issues. Why are we so much higher than the national average? And look at the successes that these other states have done as they've already begun to try different programs and be able to set goals and actually achieve them. I think a big thing that was brought up during our committee is that oftentimes we have goals or we talk about some nebulous ideas, but we're not very action oriented. And this would really push our legislature to create actionable goals and to take steps in order to get these numbers down, because for the last couple of years, we haven't seen too much improvement.
I take it that's your motion.
Yes.
Do I have a second? Second.
Another question.
Okay, questions, Lou?
You know, similar to before, I think this is great. I mean, I'm just wondering whether either of you had looked at any of the specific proposals that the Reentry 2030 had, or is there a document or a website or something? So if somebody wanted to learn more, because it talks about bold proposals and things like that. So if somebody wanted to learn a little bit more about what specifics, is there a way to do that? I mean, I agree, healthcare, housing, employment, lots of things, keeping them integrated with their families while they're in prison. I mean, there's a lot of really good ideas. And yeah, I mean, unless you committed first-degree murder and they send you to the mainland, at some point, these guys are going to get out. And so then the question is, what kind of person are they going to be when they do get out? So I think it's a great idea, Joey. And I was just wondering if they had any specifics or a place to get more information.
Yes, there is a really informative website. It's called reentry2030.org, and they do give information regarding the 7 states that have already started this. It's just that there's such a wide variety and they are very tailored and very specific to each one. So I think basically anything that you can think of, some state has already set as a goal and is trying.
We have a question from Sarah online. Sarah,
Oh,
would you-
aloha. Jillian, once again, you're doing such a great job, and I really appreciate how thorough you all are. I just have a quick question. Is there a cost to join to be the 8th state? Would it cost us anything?
I've not seen anything. No,
Great.
no cost component.
Perfect.
you had a question? Use the mic, Kim.
I just wanted to say that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has a lot of information on their website regarding recidivism. I'm an immigrant. I'm originally from another country. And in the country that I'm from, we have basically no repeat offenders. People are released relatively soon after their incarceration and are encouraged to become members of the community again. And I think we're missing that little piece here in Hawaii where we're not really working with these people to help them rejoin the community. So I think whatever we can do in this regard could be very important to our society.
Further comments, audience, board members, online? Hearing none, I'll take a, oops. Oh. Sarah, were you waving at me? Oh, just checking. So we'll take a roll call vote on this as well.
Do you have that website address?
Reentry2030.org. So the title of the resolution is Reentry 2030 Initiative. So
Okay, when I call your name, please say yes, no, or abstain regarding the resolution urging the state of Hawaii to join the Reentry 2030 initiative. Okay, Amu? Yes. Anderson?
yes.
Okay, Nordahl?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Lisa Carbonaro?
Abstain.
Oh, abstain, okay. Okay, D. Orazio? Okay, Erdercheck? Okay, Felling? Okay, Finley? Yes, okay. Hensky?
Abstain.
Okay. Hike? Okay, Daniel Jacob?
Yes.
Okay. Sirota? Okay, Smith? And Sarah Worth?
Yes.
Okay. That's 12 yes, and 2 abstain. This is adopted.
Jillian, do you have anything else from the Public Safety Committee? Thank you for your hard work on that. Okay. We will move along to Oahu's schedule of major parades and street events. And times are the official street closure times from the Honolulu Department of Transportation for closures of Kalakaua Avenue and around Kapiolani Park. Items actually may start 30 minutes earlier or later, depending on what's happening that day. Saturday, November 8th, 2 p.m. to midnight, we have the Oahu Festival. Sunday, November 9th, 5 a.m. to 11 a.m., Val Nolesco Half Marathon, and it's basically in the Kapiolani Park area, so the area at the very end of Kalakaua. Thursday, November 27th, from 6:30 to 9:30 a.m., the Honolulu Marathon Turkey Trot and Fun Run. I don't know what a turkey trot is, but it sounds good. Anyway, Friday, November 28th, 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. will be the annual Waikīkī Holiday Parade, kicking off the holiday season. Saturday, December 6th, 10:30 to noon will be the Street Bikers United Toys for Tots Caravan. Notice they start about 10:30, so even though they're noisy, they should be in and out in a couple hours. Sunday, December 7th, 5:30 PM to 7:30 PM will be the Pearl Harbor Memorial Anniversary Parade. Saturday, December 13th, from 4:30 AM to 8 AM, the annual Kalakaua Merry Mile Run. And I've actually questioned them, if it's a mile run, why does it take 4 hours? But anyway, must be slow runners. And Sunday, December 14th, will be from 2:30 AM to 4 PM in various parts of Oahu, will be the Honolulu Marathon. So those are all the events that I know of. I suggest you keep track of the newspapers and televisions if there might be additional First Amendment events that aren't on the schedule. Okay, applications for liquor license. At the November 6th meeting, transfer of name from Bombay Palace Restaurant to Namatsu, 1778 Ala Moana Boulevard, and it'll be a Category 2 application. So it's just a name change. Thursday, December 11th meeting, Dean and DeLuca at 383 Kalaimoku on the second floor is applying for a Category 2 liquor license. Dean and DeLuca's been there with Ritz-Carlton since they opened. So I guess they're expanding. That's all the liquor license information I have. Elected officials. Do we have a mayor's representative? Oh, there she is. Nola, welcome. Did you hear all that concerns about the, oh, you did tell her. Okay. Sorry.
Good evening, Chair Finley, members of the board and residents. Thanks for having me this evening. A couple announcements. I think the most exciting one for me is probably, well, two pretty exciting announcements. We opened the Skyline, the rail, all the way to Middle Street. So now it goes past the stadium, which is great. And I think, you know, they're talking about going to Ala Moana. So I think that's great progress for the rail. The other really exciting news is that the Royal Hawaiian Band has announced that they're going to have a free concert, a free Christmas concert at the Blaisdell Concert Hall. It's called Kaliki Maka Ho'omau, and it's on Friday, November 28th at 7 p.m. And tickets are on a first come, first served basis. I don't have a website here, but I guess if you go to the mayor's, I don't know, do you know if where people sign up for the tickets? Okay, I was asking the Parks PIO, but he's not, it's not his area. Okay. Okay. Anyway, it's going to be really exciting. There's going to be the Royal Hawaiian Band and a whole lineup of guests like Kalai Stern, Karen Keawe Hawaii. I thought I saw Kapono's name too, a jazz trio. Anyway, it's very exciting that we're going to have this for free for the island residents. Another thing I wanted to note that there are new sewer rates going into effect January 1, 2026. We all should have gotten a flyer in the mail that talks about the sewer rate increase and how to save money on your sewer rates, even in spite of the sewer rate increase. So that postcard went out to every resident on the island this past week. Okay, so just in response to last month, some of the inquiries, the Kuhio Beach restroom DPR resident Nicole wants to know public restroom at Kuhio Beach next to Prince Kuhio statue is operable, and also requested an explanation on why the restrooms were closed for the past 3 years. So DPR responded, the restroom is currently closed and awaiting repairs. Previous repairs did not last due to misuse of the facility by the public and outdated design of the facility and its septic system. We are currently working with the contractor to assess the situation and at this time do not have a timetable on the repair. Okay, street sweeping. Resident Oates Wilding inquired as to who she may contact to adjust the street sweeping schedule for Alawai Boulevard. This went to Department of Facilities Maintenance. They're saying the request to adjust the street sweeping schedule, tongue twister, and parking restrictions along Alawai should be submitted jointly to the city's Department of Facilities Maintenance and Department of Transportation Services. This street sweeping of Alawai Boulevard by DFM is integral to the city's National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, MPDES, municipal separate storm sewer system permit issued by the Hawaii State Department of Health, and reduces trash and other pollutant discharges to the Alawai Canal that has been identified as impaired waterway. Any reduction in the present level of street sweeping could be considered an increase of potential pollutant discharge to the Alawai Canal. So adjusting the street sweeping schedule will require changes to the present parking restriction signage along the Alawai Canal as well. And if determined to be appropriate, a public notification would be required in accordance with DTS protocol, as well as creation of a legal paint and sign work order for the fabrication of new signage and the replacement installation of the new signage. So I think, Chair, I think this was raised before and we did respond about the NPDES requirement. And that is why the street sweeping is done on, twice a week. And I think that a formal request needs to be made directly to those two departments. I don't know how easy it will be to change that because it's part of the Department of Transportation and a federal requirement for us along the Alawai Canal. But that's our response. Okay, the bus route change. Resident Mirai requested the Department of Transportation Services provide more broader public notice regarding the W bus replacing Route 20 and to clarify the express stop locations. So in response, DTS conducted the following public outreach activities in advance of the implementation of the bus W line. They presented proposed changes at 14 neighborhood boards, shared finalized service changes with all affected neighborhood boards and council members, presented at 3 town hall meetings and 1 community meeting. Rider alert car cards were posted on all buses. Rider alert notices were posted at affected bus stops. Rider alert notices were posted online at thebus.org. DTS and OTS staff handed out rider alert notices at various bus stops and information shared via DTS social media and press release. While there is always room for improvement, DTS does the best they can to inform the public of upcoming service changes. Okay, the handy van strike. Resident Mariah raised concern of a possible handy van strike coinciding with Skyline extension, requested city engagement to prevent disruptions. Oahu Transit Service, OTS, the city's the bus and the handy van operator, has been engaging in contract negotiations with the Hawaii Teamsters Union in order to reach an agreement on a new contract for the bus drivers, mechanics, and office administrative staff. While the city is not able to comment on ongoing contract negotiations, any potential strike would only involve the bus employees, since handy van staff are covered under a separate contract, which is still active. In the event of a strike by the bus employees, the handy van is expected to continue normal operations. However, the city is coordinating with OTS to identify ways and take steps to mitigate any potential impacts to services. Okay, the left turn light. Now there's a couple left turn light questions from last month. Member Hike requested to install a dedicated left turn traffic signal for Kahuio Avenue. And DTS asked, please provide specific intersections where left turn signals are being requested. Okay. Member Shannon requested to have dedicated left and right turn traffic signals at the intersection of Walinas Street and Kuhio Avenue to reduce the traffic and asked the traffic study to be completed. DTS is currently in the process of conducting a left turn study on Kuhio Avenue at Molina Street. This will involve research site inspections and an analysis of the area's traffic collision history. DTS will share their findings with the board in mid-2026, and they appreciate your bringing the matter to their attention. Okay. It didn't give a contact, but I guess anyway. That was just from the department, the response to last month's, yeah. But we, maybe we can gather that information before the next meeting. I don't know, specific locations. Okay, light changes. Resident Nicole noted traffic signals are retimed every weekend event, causing 5-minute pedestrian waits and traffic backing up to Alawai. She requested that the city stop frequent changes during events in Waikīkī. This was also DTS. They said the signal timing changes are made to keep traffic flowing along Kuhio Avenue during various events. Pedestrians should not be waiting for more than 3 minutes to cross. Please provide intersection where 5-minute pedestrian wait times were observed. Okay. So red light stop sign cameras. A resident suggested installing red light stop cameras at traffic signals and stop signs on Lee Pepe Street, Hobron Lane, and Ina Road to prevent drivers from rushing through. DTS responded, red light camera program is administered by the state DOT. So we suggest asking the board, the governors, I guess this is to ask the board to contact governor's rep or a state legislator to refer this item to HDOT. So perhaps one of the state legislators can do that, or the board can reach out to the governor, governor's rep. Pedestrian count. Member Daniel Jacobs requested the count of pedestrians crossing Macaulay Street Bridge every day, both on the Eva and Diamond Head side. And DTS active transportation monitoring program includes 16 permanent pedestrian count stations, periodic short-term counts, and project-specific counts. The Macaulay Street Bridge is not covered by a permanent counter, but a project-specific count was conducted on the bridge sidewalks in 2018 and found 1,587 pedestrians on the Diamond Head side and 692 pedestrians on the Eva sidewalk in a 24-hour period. DTS considers data collection when warranted to help address a specific issue or part of a comprehensive transportation monitoring. They gave more about the active transportation monitoring. It's called www.honolulu.gov/complete streets/traffic-monitoring-program. That's a mouthful. Okay, and the last inquiry was about bike lanes. A resident requested a bike lane be installed near the dead end of the Alawai Boulevard to Kalakaua to reduce sidewalk conflicts with bikers and pedestrians. DTS responded, we appreciate this suggestion to stripe bicycle lanes on Alawai Boulevard between Kalakaua Avenue and Ala Moana Boulevard. It appears there is adequate street width to maintain parking on both sides and include a 5-foot conventional bike lane in each direction. We will develop the design of this concept further and, if feasible, we'll add it to our project queue for implementation resources. And I think that's it.
Great. Members of the audience, any questions for the mayor? Members.
It's kind of a good time to do it because it's the high risk inspection. Yeah. Well, we did give everybody till February to comply, so maybe that will work. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's Daniel.
I'll send a picture of the guy.
Oh, he's online. Okay, sorry.
Oh, thanks, Nancy.
I don't think I heard that.
I apologize. I was unmuted.
Oh, sorry.
Well, Nola, Jacob, one sec. Thanks for your update and always attending these meetings. I really am intrigued about this idea of a bike lane onto Ala Moana from the dead end of Alawai there. So I'll be eagerly awaiting more information and planning as that becomes available from DTS. I would like to convey that, with the expansion now of Skyline, new bus routes, things of that nature, that we really need to move into the 21st century for payment options, right? I've got a Holo card. I use that near daily transit commuter. And, it's great, but also it's either you get the Holo card or you pay in cash. And a lot of people, especially younger folks, are just not carrying cash around anymore. We all got tap pay. We got the wireless pay on our phones and whatnot. So I think, we really need the bus, Skyline, our transit services. I should be able to use tap pay. I should be able to swipe a card, what have you, right? You can go to any other city in the United States and it's that way. So I don't know why we're so far behind the curve, but, it's definitely something we need to correct and, really get to the right of, because again, we're just losing out on riders from this simple way of accessibility. Thank you.
Other questions from board members? Go ahead.
First, I'll clarify on the Royal Hawaiian Band concert, it is a non-ticketed event. So it's first come, first served. The doors open at 6 and the show's at 7. So I imagine there's going to be a long line at the Blaisdell to get that free show. But I do second Jacob's interest in that bike lane. It's particularly, that's the intersection over on Kalakaua and Alawai Boulevard. It's a particularly interesting one. That whole corridor is really kind of difficult for pedestrians and for bicyclists. So, I mean, any surveying that DTS can do of that area to make it more multimodal would be fantastic.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, Honora. Thank you for coming. I just wanted to clarify, did you say there would be a left turn study on Kuhio that would be released mid-2026? Did I understand you correctly?
It's the one on Walina, the
Okay.
question about Walina and Kuhio.
There was more than Walina. I'm going to work on a list. Can I give that to you? Because it was definitely more than Walina that I announced.
Hanson?
Okay. Yeah, I've sent the email going back to June.
Yeah, they were, aside from Walina, I guess the question was, were there other?
Yes, the
Dedicated
entire street, anywhere where you can turn left onto Kuhio. I will again explain my frustration that we keep bringing this up. Before that, I thought they did a study and it took them like a week for them to say, oh, everything's fine. Now they're going to spend almost a year to look at one intersection. And there seems to be these excuses of, well, we need to know exactly which intersection. It's the entire street. I fail to understand, I'm not a traffic engineer, but even I understand that if you have two directions of traffic turning, there needs to be some type of an arrow to let people turn. We have left turn arrows if you're heading Diamond Head bound, which makes sense. It only makes sense because a car is just as deadly going the other direction. So I don't understand why, if you're going Diamond Head bound, we got left turn arrows, but yet if we're going Eva bound, there's no left turn arrows. It doesn't make any sense to me. It wouldn't be an issue if we had 3 lanes, because it'd be 1 for buses and 2 for cars. But we only have 2 going each direction. So we're already down to 50%. There's no way for a car to legally go around a car waiting to turn left. So I'm very frustrated at the endless list of excuses that the Department of Transportation Services is giving, where they need to know the name of every single intersection when it's the entire street. And we keep getting different answers as far as each intersection that they're going to be conducting a study. Just extremely frustrated.
Well, I'm not an expert on the traffic signals, but I believe there was an earlier question about the left turn on Kuhio. I don't remember which street that was though, but it was a couple months ago, they did respond. They did a study and they were basically saying they don't think they need a left turn. So I guess now they're saying, well, which of the intersections? And you're saying, well, all of them. I don't remember which. Ohua, it was Ohua and Kuhio. So I guess they did the one study and they don't agree that that there needs to be a left turn lane. I mean, left turn light or lane. I don't think there is even a left turn lane on that street, on that.
No, that's the whole point. There is one lane of traffic going either direction that cars can go. And if you're trying to go left between the pedestrians and oncoming traffic, because like you said, they've reduced it by 50%, it's very difficult to make left turn from either direction. And so to think that I don't understand how, on the same way, how is it possible that you remove all of the traffic, but yet you're expected to be able to navigate pedestrians? It's extremely unsafe. So for them, they did make it the ability to turn left at Kuhio and Kapahulu, which the right lane could only turn right, which is, again, I couldn't even get out of my driveway. It's not easy most days. So they've said this study. Can we get a copy of the study? Like who's doing the study and what time are they doing? I've sent multiple emails about this with lists and no one, I have not gotten any valid response.
Hi, Ren Amu. I also have sent emails and I'll actually forwarded emails from other people in the Waikīkī area, presidents from other associations. So I concur with both of them. And we will make a list for you of exactly where, so there's no confusion.
Okay, maybe we can, okay. So perhaps you can send that to the chair and we can get it from Chair Finley.
Okay. I have Catherine waiting to speak. Catherine?
On a different subject, but still traffic related. First of all, good evening, Nola. Sorry about that. The buses that have arrived on Kapahulu are really causing a problem. There used to be a permanent bus stop on Kapahulu across from Queen Kapiolani. There is an actual structure there. And I do not understand why 3 buses at a time have to line up right in front of the stoplight on Kapahulu across from not only Queen Kapiolani, but the Makiaialana and Denny's. That limits the access to Kapahulu to 1 lane at the stoplight. And it is very dangerous if you're coming out of Cartwright to try and make a left-hand turn, almost impossible. Or if you're exiting, for instance, our apartment building, and extremely dangerous because you have to cross the traffic it's a mess over there. Who do we talk to?
Okay, so the question is about the schedule of the bus and why they congregate all at once?
No, the question is, all of a sudden, there has become a bus stop across from Queen Kapiolani and Denny's. And as many as 3 buses will be parked there, not operating, but actually parked there, which limits the access to Kapahulu. And earlier in the street, there was a bus stop with a structure which has been built and been there for many years. I can understand if the buses stop down there because they don't interfere with the traffic, but because they're right by the stoplight, they're actually blocking the traffic. And they have also taken away parking on the street by being there as well.
So, okay, so they park for, how long are they parked there?
I've seen them there for half hour or longer, 3 buses at a time, empty.
And are you saying that bus stop across Queen Kapiolani, is that a new bus stop?
The original bus stop with a structure was across from Queen Kapiolani. Now they've come closer to Kuhio. And even when there was a bus at the original bus stop, I never saw 3 buses unoccupied parking.
Nola, I have a bunch of pictures of it I took the other day because you couldn't get through the crosswalk there walking. They just need to move the bus stop back down Kapahulu, or Mackay, where it used to be, where the structure is across from Queen Kapiolani.
Okay.
I agree with Melissa.
Wolf?
I'm in the park every afternoon at about 3:30. And I've seen these buses back up. There's one that they back up even so that there's one just before Lemon Road in front of the zoo. But actually, if they were to, as is suggested, move back to where that actual structure was, there's room further down Kapahulu as it approaches Kalakaua, where one or two other buses could be there. So I think that if it would just simply be not to pass the actual bus stop structure and then let the other ones back up behind it. They're mostly this new line, this W line, and I think another bus that goes out Eva. So, yeah, a W line, right? Yeah. The one that replaced the 20 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a simple matter of just moving them back to the bus stop structure in front of the Queen Kapiolani instead of moving all the way up to the stoplight to Kohio.
Okay.
Nola, I think I'd like to ask the Department of Transportation to do a complete survey of Kohio Avenue. We have added bus lanes, we have added a W line, and I would like anybody who has a concern about a specific bus stop to send it in early so we can include that to the folks doing the survey. There's nothing that casts in concrete the W line has to stop only here or it can't stop there. I think we've worked well with the DTS in the past and been able to adjust to meet the needs of the traveling customers. And I'd be happy to put that in writing to DTS if you'd like me to, but I certainly think that we've heard enough concerns that the W line needs a little adjustment. The turn signals into Walina definitely need some help there. But I'll be honest with you guys. There's nothing you can do about the pedestrians. You walk down Kohio any day and you watch pedestrians dart across the street at the 1 countdown or when it's red, and cars just stop because they don't want to run them down. And it would take a policeman on every corner, which we'd like to see, by the way, to actually control pedestrian traffic. But I certainly think the department should be able to conduct a follow-on survey of just how the W route, and I don't know if any other routes are affected by this, but I certainly would like to see that done. And if you'd like, I'll put that in an email to you tomorrow. And
That would be great. I'm happy to pass it on to.
okay,
Director.
and board members and members of the audience, if you have specific bus stops that you're unhappy with, specific things like Kapahulu, where they might be able to hold the buses in Kapiolani Park at the 2 bus staging areas where the buses stop, shut down the engines and wait to get on the sync. I don't know. It's probably all electronic. I have no idea how that works. And dispatch them. Love that guy. But I'll get that out to you tomorrow. And folks, please keep me informed through Anson about your concerns on this. Any other concerns for the mayor? I don't see any hands. I don't see anything here. My goodness. Nola, thank you for putting up with us, and we'll see you next year.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nola.
I don't see Tommy Waters here. Does he have a representative?
Hi, I'm online. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. There she is.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Hi, Chair. Good evening, Chair and members. I'm Tasha Luke with Chair Tommy Waters' office. I just have a couple of quick updates. A constituent reported a constant puddle at the crosswalk of Hobron Lane and Ena Road that creates a safety hazard for pedestrians. We submitted a riser, and the Department of Facility Maintenance says it's working on a fix. And the Department of Facility Maintenance has launched the Kuhio Beach Shower Project to address the Department of Health concerns about runoff entering the ocean and improve the overall experience. DFM is working with a contractor to develop concepts and gather feedback from community stakeholders. For any questions or concerns, you can contact DFM's Stormwater Quality Division at 808-768-3268. And with that, I'm happy to take back any questions or concerns to Chair Waters.
Members of the audience, do you have questions for Chair Waters? Jacob, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Jacob Winsek here. I'm glad you were able to take the time to come and attend our meeting on behalf of Chair Waters. First things first, at tomorrow's City Council meeting, there's a trio of bills on first reading that personally I'm really excited about, and I hope that we can really get them through this legislative process here. Bills 71, 72, and 73 are, can be pretty bland, but they're really important proposed reforms for shared streets programs to make it safer for pedestrians and cyclists. There are affordable housing reforms and just relaxing a lot of these regulatory and permitting barriers that we face to really make Honolulu more affordable. We've been in a long-standing affordability crisis. The City Council over the last few years has really made good progress on addressing and tackling this affordability crisis. So these three proposed bills, they're slam dunks for really getting at the heart of what's going on in terms of not being able to afford living in Honolulu. And following up on that, last month, the council passed a resolution on book vending program at the Skyline stations, which is great, automatic book vending programs. Let's put that space to productive use. But after that resolution got passed, it got me thinking, these Skyline stations are pretty big, they're pretty roomy. They've seen a lot more foot traffic lately. So why not open them up to commercial vendors, have small vending machines available so people can buy drinks and snacks on the go, get small newspaper magazine stands. Those are still surprisingly popular. And when you look at comparable rail stations, light rail, city rail, subways on the mainland, New York City, Philadelphia, DC, LA, you see a lot of these small vendors, guy selling drinks and newspapers and magazines for people on their commute on the go. So I think it would just be an easy win, put these spaces to productive use and enhance the experience for transit users. Mahalo.
Okay. Other questions from audience? Other questions from board members? Other questions from people online, which we have a lot of tonight? I didn't see any. Thank you, and say hi to the chair when you see him.
Thank you, will
Thank you
do.
very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Okay. Does Senator Moriwaki have a representative here tonight? Or Representative Tam?
Here,
Okay. Who was that?
this is Flora.
Go ahead, Flora.
Okay, it's not letting my camera connect. Hi. I'm here for Representative Tam. We held a town hall with Senator Moriwaki last night. We had guest speakers from Department of Law Enforcement, Department of Transportation. The Red Cross came to talk about disaster preparedness, and Commissioner Psyche came to talk about insurance rates and the Hurricane Relief Fund. So we had a really productive but short discussion with each of them. Great questions from the audience. We'll provide some summaries in our next newsletter. I left our newsletter at the tables for all of you. Other than that, I don't think I have much more that hasn't already been covered, but I can take questions back to the representative. Or if people have questions for me right now.
Members of the audience, questions for Rep. Tam? Members of the board, questions for Rep. Tam? Flora, next meeting, I'm going to be asking or forming a PIG for the legislature bills. And I'd like to be sure that Rep. Tam makes available to that committee anything of interest that he would like us to support or oppose. And we'll be happy to work with him on that.
Sounds great. This is also just another reminder that the legislative session is coming up very soon, and we are starting to work on legislation for next session. So if you have bill ideas or bill drafts, now is a great time to send them over. And so we can take a look at them. And then if you'd like to have a meeting with Representative Tam about a bill you're particularly interested in, we might already be working on it, but we're always open to your input and would be happy to talk to you and discuss any legislation you're interested in.
Okay. We'll probably do that in February to address any bills this body would like to discuss. Yeah, Greg.
Aloha, Greg Masakian. On the issue regarding bills, and I know this came up last year when we were discussing this when I was on the board, now is really the time I would suggest that the board create the PIG. You should probably, I know it's not on agenda, but if you can motion to add it, you should create the PIG now. You're not having a meeting in December, if I'm correct. And if you wait till January, you've got three meetings basically. So you create the PIG, then you go do your whatever you're going to do, and then you go give a report. Really what this board should be doing is deciding which things they would like bills to be introduced for, what areas, what topics to bring to the legislature. Not, I know you're supporting things later after the fact when there's bills out there, but I would suggest that you give the ideas to the legislature for bills that are important to the community, specifically for Waikīkī, obviously, because you're the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board. So that's just my comment there. I would actually create the PIG this evening, and then in January, you're in motion. You get it started. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Actually, and I will say that now, anytime basically between now and the end of the year is the optimal time to give us your bill drafts and ideas. You don't necessarily have to have a draft. If you just have an idea, you can send that to us, but bill introduction cutoff is usually about the third week of January. So if you don't give us a bill before then we won't be able to introduce it until the following session. So just to clear up that timeline, and if you have more questions about the legislature's timeline, the public access room, which is a part of which is a part of the Capitol, they can help you to understand the timelines and all of the different hearings that all the bills go through. But generally, getting your ideas before the new year is ideal.
Go ahead.
Flora, I have a quick question for you. Do you have the contact information for the town hall guy yesterday evening that was for the safety smoke detectors, fire department?
Oh,
Remember?
yeah, that's just the Red Cross. They actually have a fillable form on the Hawaii Red Cross website where you can fill it out and request your smoke detectors.
Thank you.
So I would say follow up with them because I did fill it out and then nobody responded to me. So that was a couple years ago, but definitely follow up. But there is a fillable form online.
Okay. Anything else? Go ahead, sir.
Actually, it's for you, Chair Finley, regarding what the representative said. I would actually like to make a motion that we start the PIG process tonight, if that's possible. I know it's not specifically on the agenda, but it did come up as from an agenda item being the Rep. Tam's report. I do think it's a timely issue that we need to deal with now. I don't know how the process works, but I would like to make that motion whenever it's appropriate.
We have Anthony online. Anthony? Oh, Anthony lowered hand.
Hi, Melissa. The contact for the American Red Cross demonstration that was last night at the town hall is Daniel Anderson. He is the preparedness specialist, and you just Google Hawaii chapter Pacific Islands region, and you should be able to find his contact information.
Which chapter? What did you say at the end?
Hawaii chapter Pacific Islands region.
Thank you. Anything else for Representative Tam? Seeing nothing. Thank you for being with us, Flora.
You're welcome.
Okay. I don't see Yvonne here. Is there anybody here from the governor's office? Okay. I don't see Rick Eggett here. Is nobody here from there? New board business? Okay. Martin, are you ready to do the presentation? We've talked about 1615 Ala Moana for at least 5 years, and the city took some aggressive action on it, and Martin will be doing a presentation on it.
Okay, very good. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chair Finley. Thank you, board members, for giving us a chance to share a little bit about our projects here tonight. So we actually have two projects for you folks. One is 2533 Kaneloa Road. Actually, if you poke your head out the door right there, you can probably see it's right on the corner. And the second one, as many folks probably are waiting for, is 1615 Alawai. My name is Martin Nguyen. I'm a principal at a company called Center Urban Real Estate. And we're excited to share the information on our projects today. The first one, Kaneloa Road, we're calling Cardano o Waikīkī. Second one, 1615 Alawai, is Cardano o Alawai. If it gets a little confusing with the names, we can just call Kaneloa the blue one, and you can call 1615 the red one. And you can see at the bottom, it'll be color coded. Same thing with the boards over there, will be color coded with blue or red. Move on to next. All right, just to start off, I wanted just to go through our project team, introduce ourselves. So start from the bottom up, actually. First is Island Structural Contracting. We anticipate them being our general contractor for both of these sites. Second is Hierarchy LLP, who, darn, had such a nice board, but we have Phil Kemp from Hierarchy LLP here with us today. They're our architectural team. Next is Watt Capital Partners. There are partners in this project as well. They have a history going back to World War II, where they built homes for returning veterans. And last but not least is Center Urban Real Estate. That's us. While our name's certainly new to Hawaii, these are our first two projects here in Hawaii. I'm happy to say, local boy, went to public school, went to UH, and actually, Chair Finley, if you don't mind, it may be helpful to share a little bit about my background. It might help explain our why and why we're choosing to work on these type of projects. So like I mentioned, local boy, went to Moalua High School, went to UH, and like many folks nowadays, not just young folks, just folks who grew up here, facing a harder choice between, okay, do I stay here or do I move to the mainland? That's certainly the choice I had to go through after I graduated UH. If I chose to stay here, my choices in housing that I could afford at the time as a recent grad was to live in my childhood bedroom with mom and dad, or live in a walk-up that was probably built in the 50s or 60s with 2 or 3 other roommates. What did I choose? I chose to move to the mainland. That was over 10 years ago. I distinctly remember having a lunch with a state legislator over on the mainland, and he kind of half jokingly said, we were talking about the brain drain, and he kind of half jokingly says, like, you're part of the problem. And I get that he was joking around, but it really hit me hard. I thought to myself, I am part of the problem. I did choose to move away. And really, that's where we came full circle here. You know, I chose to work in real estate, got my master's at a nice university called USC over in LA, learned as much as I can, and to essentially bring that home to hopefully make an impact in the community that I grew up in. That's where we are today, where we're hoping to be able to make it a little bit easier for folks who are faced with that choice. Do I stay? Do I go? To essentially have that option. It's like, okay, you know, maybe it is an option, a real feasible option for me to stay at home. So you're probably wondering, it's like, okay, cardinal this, cardinal that, what's all that about, Martin? And really, we wanted to find something to call this strategy, this whole concept of kama'aina housing. You know, cardinal goes back to the Latin word for a door hinge. Obviously, a door can't work without a door hinge, so it's come to mean something pretty important, means something pivotal. And that's what we are hoping to be able to do today, is that being able to come back and provide for that kama'aina housing for folks like you and me who have that option to stay here in Hawaii. We'll move on to the next slide. So we'll start off first with 1615 Alawai. So just going back through memory lane here. So as many folks probably remember, you can go to the next slide. As many of you folks know, it's on the Ewa side of Waikīkī, just off of Alawai, across the Alawai Canal from the convention center. It was built, next slide. It was a part of a community that was built in 1949 by the federal government as part of their public housing initiative. Over time, and again, I don't need to remind you folks of everything that happened. It's really just been dilapidated. There was issues with folks moving in, tagging, drugs, fires, and the city really ultimately came in with Chair Waters' leadership to condemn it in 2024, and earlier this summer, demolished the structure. So right now it's just a concrete pad, as you can see in the bottom right picture. And what we're hoping to be able to do is essentially create the natural evolution of what was there already. You know, there's an old mid-century walk-up. And what we're hoping to do is create the modern interpretation of that. So, you know, you're going from 3 stories to 6 stories, going from no elevator to elevator, and going from 18 units to 40 units. And really the whole idea there is, you know, now that's 40 folks who, you know, 40 of our friends and family who they may be facing that choice. Do I move to the mainland or not? And the idea is that we'll be able to give them that option, at least 40 folks to give them that option. I wanted to actually hand it over to Phil to talk about some of the design considerations as we were going through this. So, Phil.
Thanks, Martin, and thanks, board. Appreciate the time. If there's one thing I do want to say and share with you, it's the pleasure we've had working with Cure and their team. You know, by right, these Bill 7 projects are a city and county initiative that allows projects like these to proceed ahead without this type of engagement. And Martin's team has been really focused on getting ahead of things, introducing the team, letting folks know what we're doing. Every project we've worked with them on, they've been doing this initiative where they get out and try and talk to the community. So, you know, I'm born and raised here as well. Similar to Martin, I moved away, came back home, also local boy, even though I don't look like it. Went to high school here across the street and went to school in the mainland. But part of my initiative coming back with our firm Hierarchy, we do a lot of affordable housing. So if you ever jump on our website, you can take a look at some of the projects we've done before. Previously, I think probably one of the more well-known ones is Keoho Lane, which is right in the center of Kaka'ako, and that was one of the first affordable housing projects. Was a LEED Platinum project done in the center of Kaka'ako. So similar, we're taking some of those assets and concepts that we learned with Keoho Lane, namely a precast construction delivery. So what does that mean to the neighborhood? It really means fast time to delivery. So precast concrete allows us all fabricated concrete on island with Great Pacific Rocky Mountain, which is out in Kalailoa, to have those precast elements come to the site and erect probably within 2 to 3 months versus a conventional podium stick frame, which would probably take closer to 5 to 6 months. So the impact to the community is significantly reduced. It's a better product. And then when it gets delivered, again, 40 units that we think will really help the community. Some of the design initiatives we have for this project, we're really trying to engage the Alawai frontage. There's a private lane on the back of the parcel, and you can take a look at the boards later on. We really wanted that front engagement, and I think we had some discussions here earlier tonight about transportation and the need to alleviate traffic. So there's a Waikīkī station right out in front. If we could get that bike lane, that would be pretty awesome. But for the time being, there's a Waikīkī station right out in front of that. So we're really trying to activate the frontage and get that new community active on Alawai. I don't know if there's, you want to go to Paniloa or? No, okay, sorry, I didn't know there's an issue. So that picture on the bottom right is Hill Lane. So that's a full precast affordable housing project that we delivered right before the pandemic. So again, very similar construction method, and the why behind that is efficiency and time to delivery. So it really expedites construction, and it's all locally sourced. So that's a really, really good thing. And then the interior was just some interior shots but that's fine. And you can see the orientation of it, but that private road in the back there is private access to parking. I think we have 7 stalls in the back, but we're really trying to engage that Alawai frontage to keep, body heat on Alawai to get that community engagement happening on that front end. Go ahead. I'll let Martin speak to timeline.
All right, and then I think before we wrap up with the schedule for 1615 Alawai, I also want to emphasize, I think unfortunately there is a certain connotation when people hear affordable housing now. It's such a broad range of what that really means. It could mean housing for formerly homeless folks. It could mean housing for people making 100% of the area median income, $100,000, 6 figures. So I just want to make clear that these projects, we're targeting people making 60 to 80% AMI. Okay, you're probably thinking, okay, Martin, what does that mean in English? 80% AMI for an individual is $85,000. 60% AMI for an individual is about $64,000. 80% AMI for a family of 4 is about $120,000. And 60% AMI for a family of 4 is just under 6 figures, $100,000. So this is really just normal folks. I don't want people, I think the unfortunate aspect is people hear affordable housing and they're like, kind of a sense of shame and just, it's like, oh, no, I don't need help. It's like, oh, no, I don't need subsidized housing. But really what we want to be able to do here with 1615 Alawai and with 2533 Kanaloa is change that perception. This is Kama'aina housing. This is, this is not the projects. This is not low income housing in whatever the connotation that one would take from it. This is just a good deal for anyone who lives and wants to work in Waikīkī. The whole idea here is that the people who choose to rent at these units ideally also work in Waikīkī. They don't have to commute an hour each way from the west side. You can just hop on the W and they move the bus stops around, or hop on the bike lane once they get that striped. And that's really the whole vision of both of these projects as a whole. So that's one point I wanted to make. Going over to the schedule. So you can see here in March, we responded to a city RFQ request for qualifications. And in May, we heard back and we were selected as the preferred negotiating partner by the Department of Housing and Land Management. Since then, we've been negotiating a long-term ground lease and development contract with them. That's currently going through legal review and ultimately would go to City Council for final approval. But you can see that If everything goes well, we would have that go through in Q4. Then we can start our building permitting process. That would take some time, obviously. And the target would be to start construction probably sometime in Q3, Q4 of next year, with the anticipated timeline for build out being anywhere between 10 and 12 months. So that's for 1615 Alawai. We wanted to take a break here to answer any questions, whether it's for me or for Phil. Then we can go on to the next project, the one that's down the street there.
How come there's only 7 parking stalls for 40 condos on Alawai where there's already no parking over there?
Sure. What we're hoping to do here is essentially retain the parking stalls that were already there. Obviously, we looked at various designs where, hey, maybe we can have a through access. Someone can come in from Alawai, have a curb cut, and then exit out the private road, and then get some tuck under parking. When we looked at that, you'd probably lose 2 stalls off of Alawai for street parking for a curb cut. You'd lose 2 stalls on the private road of the 7 that was already there, only to gain maybe 6 or 7 more stalls under the building. So you're netting out 4 stalls. The ultimate strategy here is obviously retaining the parking that's already there, but also emphasizing that, hey, if residents choose to live here, you're most likely not going to have a parking stall available for you. And the expectation is really you walk, bus, or bike to work.
I have a question also. Thinking about what you said about people think of affordable housing as the projects and stuff. I mean, I understand that, but actually for years, we've often seen the opposite, where developers come in under the guise of affordable housing with projects that essentially are pretty expensive, fancy high rises, and they got 2 or 3 units here or there that are supposedly affordable. But this seems like a genuinely well-intentioned, pretty good project. So I basically like what you guys are doing. The question that I have is, because I saw, and the area is kind of run down, no question about that. But I saw some, so are there existing buildings that are going to be knocked down to make way for this? And if so, do we have any idea of how many people are going to be displaced?
Good question. I'll actually disagree that I think that area is actually great. I think it's not really run down at all. I think we walk around there quite a bit, and it's I think it's quite pleasant. Albeit I spent a lot of my most of my year in LA, so maybe my bar is a little low. I would say there was an existing building there. It was that 3-story walk-up that you saw that was all tagged up. The city tore it down earlier this summer, and prior to that, it was vacant. Apparently, it was vacant for over 2 decades, and that was where a lot of the issues came in, where transients moved in, and they were causing issues. So, city decided to tear it down. So the answer to your question is 0 folks will be displaced.
But nobody will be displaced.
Nobody lives there right now. Yes, it's and currently as it sits, it's just a concrete foundation.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, and it was great to meet you there today, and wonderful. I really appreciate you coming and giving everybody an understanding. I live in one of the other apartments that is in that block. There is 5 blocks exactly the same, except for the one now that's on the ground. So 4 of them were all owned by one group. And this one that has been knocked down was owned by one man that didn't join in the air rights, which have been bought by the Watermark. So all of them have to be 3 stories, allowing for everybody else to be able to have space. And this one was owned by a man who didn't want to sell it. And then the city came and took it off him because he was unable to upkeep it. And so that property now I understand, and I really am happy with the city and the state for trying to get a lot of housing. I know they're trying to get 10,000 under 2,300 per month. Is that correct with these ones? Is that what they're in that category? The rent for the apartments.
So the rents are going to be based off of the area median income, and really the ranges for both of these projects for the one bedrooms would be about 1,500 to 2,000.
Right. So that's what it is right now. So all of us have one-bedroom apartments. And so my questions are on three things. One is obviously the parking is an extreme issue at the moment. And as you asked, are we wanting to have 40 single people in places where they cannot access, where there's no visitor parking, and where there's no option to have kapuna looked after with zero community amenities from here to there? There is no childcare community centre. There is no centre like this. There is no community, no kapuna help. That area is full of young people and very old people. And on a daily basis, I help as many as I can, but there's a whole lot of people who need transport. It's still a 30-minute walk to the closest shopping centre, which is Ala Moana. It's still a 30-minute walk to anywhere they need to get to. And it really isn't feasible to have them thinking that they're going to be able to walk and get what they need. I mean, I had to take someone to the bank today because it was just too far. My question is, would you be willing to work with the city, the county, the state, and the community to do your 6 stories, to have 3 stories of units just like they are, having 18, 6 on each floor instead of the smaller unit, which only allows for 1 person? Would you be willing to work with the community to look at having 3 stories of 18 units and having 3 stories of a kapuna centre, a childcare centre, and a community centre of the 3 levels, making sure that you would still get the same amount of funding that you need to make it worthwhile for you to build it, but the community would then get a community centre. They would cover the gaps of kapuna care, a learning centre for keiki, having jobs where people could actually live there and work there. You could also have a community centre which teaches people job vocational training and make it where it really is a hub to already help all those other people in that area, and to make it where we are being what I hope we're trying to do, where build community rather than reduce community by making people live by themselves.
I appreciate your question, and I appreciate being able to have that dialogue with you. I would say that all of those things, I agree that we need. I think trying to be frank and trying to be realistic about this particular site, it's a very narrow site. It's about 9,000 square feet. You know, I think if we had to choose between putting all of those great things, which, you know, I think I would love to see that happen within the community. I would just say that if it were to happen here, it would just remain a concrete foundation. It just wouldn't be feasible, unfortunately, no matter how many ways we slice and dice it. Everything, I mean, the zoning actually is apartment precinct, so technically you can't have other uses unless you get a CUP, and infeasible in that the site is so narrow. You know, you're suggesting a number of different uses. How would people get to those uses? You know.
So the 6 that are already there, the 6 spaces could be used for visitor parking. So people would come in there, drop off their person for the for the day and then leave again. That way you're not having, because at the moment there is absolutely zero chance you could have even the postman come. So at the moment, if you don't get rid of that parking, you do not have a space for the postman to come for any of those people who live there. You do not have anywhere for emergency vehicles to come. You do not have anywhere for anyone to come to be part of that 40-unit, micro-unit building. So you will have to do something to reduce what's there already. If you want to say, you were saying to come from the front. If you're going to come from the front, at the moment, there's 2 parking stalls there that people use that are always full. They would have to be gone if you were even going to have a space for people to get in, which would be great. But then if you have that, then you're obviously getting rid of 2 parking spots, and then there's less parking, but the people could be dropped off there for the day and picked up there. You could also have a van for the community that's in your building that can take people where they need to go. And that way you could have 6 spots that are used by community cars, basically.
No, certainly understand, and I appreciate the creativity 100%. You know, these are reminiscent of the design shirts that we have as a team. I think, again, our directive is that there's a 40,000 unit housing shortage here on Oahu alone. And, you know, mayor's pretty explicitly said, we need housing yesterday. You know, so again, I'm not disagreeing that we need those services, those type of amenities are absolutely needed. But, you know, as it pertains to this particular site, the path of least resistance here to make the biggest impact in aligning with that directive is to put this Kama'aina housing here. And, you know, I also want to put all of this into context. Actually, next door where the Watermark driveway is, that was also 18 units. So really, between the demolition of that building and the current 1615 Alawai building, the units that we're replacing is actually replacing the units that were taken down between those 2 buildings anyways. And, you know, I imagine, you know, I don't know how they do the post now, or how they did the post between 1950 and 2005 when they tore that other building down. But I would think that we, at least on our end, we would do whatever we can to ensure that obviously postage is delivered, that deliveries and guests are managed on the Alawai side, which is really why we designed it so that the lobby is on the Alawai side. We designed it so that the elevator is on the Alawai side to encourage pedestrian activity on that side.
And then can you?
Thank you.
Sorry, just one more question then. Is there any possibility you working with the community and the city then in terms of making them, when you say Kama'aina, that they can have more than one person in the apartment? You're saying you're helping 40 people. There is no one in this society who wants to live by themselves. They live by themselves because they have to. You know, I think this type of thing promotes that, when I would hope that you would make them the same size. Even ours are small, but they at least fit a young couple where they can both be there, but they definitely need space for a car or some other method, rather than saying that they're all going to walk, because that does not happen.
I would say actually, you know, when we met yesterday, I actually walked from the Ala Moana Mall over to meet with you folks, and it was an absolutely pleasant walk. It was 10 minutes, and frankly, I think it was a great, again, great opportunity to be able to experience for myself what the tenant experience really would be for these units. Going back even a little bit further, you know, as part of this RFP, this came from the Department of Housing and Land Management. You know, again, I want to emphasize again that the directive is we need housing yesterday. And, you know, if we're putting up emphasis on cars, which again, I understand. I mean, I live in LA, totally understand having a car, but are we putting a priority on people or are we putting a priority on cars? Because again, it's for every car that we put, that's one other family that's moving away to the mainland. And to your point, I would love, technically, you're allowed to have up to 3 folks in a 1-bedroom. So I would love to have more young couples be a part of that community.
Any other questions? Board member, yes.
Thank you for your presentation, and also thank you for moving back and bringing home your expertise. Very much support affordable housing. Completely agree that we need more on the island. You had mentioned earlier in answering the questions, and while we were talking, the kind of estimate on the rent. I would highly recommend you putting that into the presentation because those kind of details are really like what local people are going to be asking about. Is that rent tied in with the AMI index? So if the AMI goes up, the rent goes up as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And that's consistent for the 75-year lease that you folks have on it?
Yes, that's correct. So the rental cap will follow the annual HUD rental allowances, both for income and rent limits.
Okay, thank you.
Board members, other questions? Okay, Greg.
Aloha, Greg Masakian. I serve as the president of the Kakua Council, which is a Kapuna advocacy organization since 1972. So when I hear Kapuna, and it seems like these units might be focused on maybe people who are, looking to have a place to live that can't afford a single family home, or it could be older residents. I would like to also start with, I believe the public, if I'm correct, I've served on this board, should go first before the board goes. So that's just something to pass back to the chair. But I have a few questions, and if you want, I can just read one at a time and you can try to answer. They're just very simple ones. How long will the long-term land lease be for? That you'll get the rights to the land? Do you know?
If I understand the question correctly, the ground lease will be for 75 years, and that will effectively be the development will effectively be for that 75 years. And
okay.
If I keep myself healthy, maybe I'll be around to hand back the keys, but that's the goal.
Okay, and then you'll have the development company, or your company will have ownership of the property, and you'll be able to. You're going to manage it, or is that going to be given to someone else to manage the property at some point?
It would be, yes, we would be the owner of the improvements. The city and county would be the owner of the land as the ground lessor. And we are going back and forth whether it is in-house management or whether we get third-party management. Obviously it's probably a couple years from being this decision being made, but management is something that is top of mind for us. I think the last thing we would want is to put our blood, sweat, and tears in putting up a great project only for a bad manager to
Sure,
make it not so great.
Okay, and you can abbreviate these because I only have limited time and they're going to be very quick. So as far as the size of the units, I did want to know approximately what the size are. Are they all going to be equal size? All 1-bedrooms?
For 1615 Alawai, yes. They're about 400 square feet. So roughly, say, 13 feet by 30 feet. And the whole idea there, you can see in the rough renderings there, we've added what's almost like a modern interpretation of a Japanese shoji door. So you're able to get that sense of privacy and division of space. Say if you do have multiple people living in the unit.
Okay, and then one last question, the cost. I know that was brought up. That was what I was going to ask. It's just going to be an apartment, so there's going to be a rent, no maintenance fee, no additional leasehold fee or anything like that. It's just going to be.
That's correct. At least for the residents, it would be the rent. We're going back and forth as to what utilities are included, and effectively right now we're having it such. We're looking at it such that the landlord pays for trash, water, sewage, and cleaning. So electricity would be the responsibility of the tenants. We're hoping to put in air conditioning units. So we'd hope that if the tenants are responsible for the electricity, they'll be mindful about not running the AC units all day.
All right. Thank you very much. That was it.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
question.
it. Thank you.
Board members, any further questions? Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm
Good
Ralph
evening.
Littlefield. I live at 1551 Olawai, the watermark. Question, it looks like the first floor is not residence, is that correct?
That's correct. The base flood elevation for this entire area is 7 feet. By building code, which Bill can speak to, you can't have a residential use up below the base flood elevation. We're still trying to figure out what that ground floor will be programmed as. Thoughts are bike storage, secured moped storage, community room, gym. So those, obviously will be hashed out as we get further along, but that's also something that, we would love to hear in case there's any additional neighbors that live within that community, what may be an appropriate use.
There would be eight units per floor, it sounds like?
That's correct.
Are those balconies that I see? Would they have balconies?
So those are actually the walkways. So this is kind of going back to the modern interpretation of old school walk-up. Exterior walkway, you can see the elevator goes up that way, and that's really how you would enter your unit.
Will these units be able to have washers and dryers?
So we are looking at it such that right now it's a central laundry room. Part of actually one of the considerations that we've had for the next project, 2533 Kaneloa, is building the washer boxes, but not putting in washer dryers day one. I think really is trying to see what works best in the long term as it pertains to these rents, and at the same time too, it's making sure that we can get these things built, and as the building progresses and as it needs additional renovations, it's like, okay, now we can, the hard part's done, the hookups and the plumbing and all of that's already there. Now we can throw in an in-unit washer dryer.
Okay. It seems that'd be a bit too small for in-unit, even the walk-ups next door and the other 5 or 6 buildings.
The laundry room.
They do not have, and they're not allowed to have washer dryer. I noticed in the notes it said that the footprint was being moved because of a sewer issue. Which way are you intending to move the building? More to the front or more to the back?
Perhaps we can go to the one slide behind. Maybe one. Here we go. So if you see the site plan, there is a sewer easement. It's hard to see from here, but it's essentially where the parking area is. That was a sewer easement that served the other building that was demolished for the watermark driveway. I don't know if it's being used right now. I'd be very surprised if it is being used, but it is a process to remove that from the records. You have to go to land court, and it could take a year or two to actually remove the easement. So, in the spirit of expediency and speed, rather than removing the easement and trying to push that through, we really just came up with it's simple geometry where you tilted the building ever so slightly that way, such that it avoids the easement, and it actually creates more breathing room and more space between the Marina Gardens building. I know yesterday I was speaking with a resident who owns in that building, and she said that she appreciated that there is a little bit more breathing room between the space there. And in my personal opinion, some people may not like the skew. My personal opinion, I think it adds character, and it adds a nice gradient between the low rises that are there for Marina Gardens and the high rise that is Watermark.
Will the frontage be the same as the other buildings, or will it be less or more?
I believe it's less. The frontage, it's the width of the building you're asking.
No, the distance from the front end of the building to the sidewalk.
10 feet.
Is that like roughly the same as the other buildings?
From eyeballing it, and I don't have my scale with me. It looks roughly about the same as the frontage for Marina Gardens.
And just my final comment, it seems that putting 40 units in such a tiny footprint and in that particular location where it's already very congested is really not a very good plan. And so speaking for myself and from a lot of Watermark residents, that's way overloading that particular plot of land, and we oppose it. Thank you.
Jacob.
Aloha, Jacob Winsek. Thank you for your time and coming here and presenting this amazing presentation. Really fact-filled. Had a good discussion previously about these upcoming affordable housing projects here. We need more affordable housing in Hawaii. By 2030, the state in the current decade should have built 100,000 units of housing, and in 2025, we've only built 15,000 new units of housing, which doesn't automatically include just new housing units, it also includes renovations. So that number of what we've already built is a little misleading. So having some sort of project where we're just getting units on the board that people can afford to live in, that is phenomenal. I'm in total support of both these projects. I'd like to see these through because it's hard, almost impossible to live in Hawaii. You know, I was very privileged and able to come to Hawaii. You know, I'm a Navy veteran. I was able to use my VA home loan to afford my condo, very low interest rate, no down payment. I've been able to be lucky and have a succession of good jobs, both in the Navy and now in the private sector. But for a lot of people, they don't have that privilege. They don't have the resources I had made available to me. And you shouldn't have to have these privileges to be able to live and afford to live in Hawaii, in Waikīkī, which is our state economic engine. And we're in a jobs crunch right now. There's not enough people to fill the labor demand. So given that we are the economic engine of Hawaii here in Waikīkī, with the tourism industry, with all the small businesses that it supports, right? Just having affordable housing co-located near the actual job sites here at Ala Moana Center. Kahala Mall isn't too far off, right? UH Manoa is right up the road. We have a lot of students who come through Waikīkī often, right? We need more of this type of housing at every level, at every scale. My only complaint about this is we didn't build ambitiously enough with this, in my humble opinion. But I would just like to reiterate my support, and we're I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Martin, can we move on to the other building?
Absolutely. So we'll move over to 2533 Kaneloa Road. Similar themes, similar flavors. So we'll go through it relatively quickly. So we can go to the next slide here. So as you can see, actually we may not even need this map. You just look out the window, and it's right over there on the corner. Is from the corner of Kuhio and Paukalani. You go up one block, Malka, and it's on the right side behind Jefferson Elementary. Back in the 80s, I believe it was a single family home, and since then it was used, I believe, as a parking lot. And you can see right there. So you go to the next slide. Yeah, some context of what it looks like now. And where it is. So it's on the corner right there. And it is next to two of those old school walk-ups that we've taken inspiration from. So you can go to the next slide where this is really the design vision. You know, like I mentioned earlier, same rhyme, same rhythm. Really, the idea here is they're twin buildings bookending both ends of Waikīkī. I'll hand over to Phil again to talk about any of the design considerations.
Thanks again. This project, again, similarly, we're proposing to deliver with precast, so same thing, speed to delivery. It's a little different orientation than the Alawai project where the precast planks are running longitudinally. So we have a mix of 24 1s and 8 2s, again, elevated buildings. So for a lot of the Bill 7 projects, again, a Bill 7 project by right as a city initiative requires 0 parking. So both of these projects, we're providing parking and working to incentivize bike ride and bike share. So both of these projects have some parking when they aren't required to have any, and they're also not required to be elevated. And both of the projects that secure is adding an elevator for this affordable housing product. So by the Bill 7 initiative, the affordability component is a requirement for the duration of the city and county agreement. So I think there was a concern from the board about some prior projects where they came in with the guise of affordability to change to market rate or higher. That's not the intent here. This is absolutely intended to serve workforce housing people in Waikīkī, not outsiders that are working outside. So while we do have some parking, that's not the intent. We're trying to get people out of cars and directly located in the zone that they're serving. So I think some of the local Kama'aina might be familiar with some of the Bill 7 issues that have come up recently in some of the other communities that aren't in urban centers. I'm also president of AIA this year. And one of the things I always talk about when we're presenting projects, especially Bill 7, is just because Bill 7 says you can do something doesn't mean we recommend it. So in communities that aren't urban cores or job centers, it's a little tougher argument to provide that. I think in Waikīkī, we know there's a massive workforce that isn't housed or doesn't have workforce housing in Waikīkī. So these two projects are pretty exciting because they are the two first Bill 7 initiatives in Waikīkī. So they can actually serve the people that work here. But other than that, the design concepts are intentionally we're trying to replicate some of the pieces so that we can drop that construction cost and increase the speed to delivery. And again, all locally sourced with GPRM out in Kalaeloa. And again, similar construction type model after our Kia Holding, which was the first full precast affordable housing project in Hong Kong. Thank you. A couple more. Similar, so that there is some parking, and you can see just the services alone on the first one. It's a small project at 32 units, and that project is also, it's a small project at 32 units, similar to otherwise, only 40 units, but the ground floor requirements for pumps, booster pumps for fire sprinklers, all those things eat up square footage pretty quickly. So that's other than the lobby and the laundry on the first floor, almost all of that program on the left side is all building services. So it's, for a small project to get that incorporated it's just a reality that we have to deal with. And again, similar construction type with the precast delivery. Next slide, please. And timeline.
Right. So just going through the timeline, we actually acquired the land. So this one is a fee simple project, not a ground lease with the city and county, like 1615 Alawai. But we acquired the land back in October of last year. And really since then, we've been working on the design and the permitting process. Obviously with construction and permitting, nothing really happens very quickly, but we want to make sure that we do things with a sense of purpose, expediently, but thoughtfully. So really the main highlights was that last August, we conducted our archaeological inventory survey test trenching on the site, where we anticipate going deeper down into the ground to make sure there aren't any cultural artifacts or iwi kupuna, and they were able to identify that there were no findings. There will still be an archaeological monitoring plan as we go through the construction process, but if everything goes well, then we're hoping to be able to receive our building permits before the end of the year, and to be able to start breaking ground in January. If everything goes well with that, then fingers crossed we'll be able to have a completed building by October of next year.
Do I have questions from board members? Anybody in the audience? Your question.
Sorry, two more questions. Just on the other one, is there a public hearing on that, or is it just that it's, is there any input from the community at any level from now on, or how's that go?
So naturally, this is part of the community feedback process. So I appreciate you coming. There will be another public hearing that I believe the City Department of Housing and Land Management will be hosting, and then finally it'll go to the City Council, most likely the Committee on, I believe they call it the Committee on Housing and Parks now, and then ultimately back to City Council for final resolution approval.
Wonderful. And last question, just to make sure I had it clear, if you were going to make the same amount of money with having 18 apartments and 3 levels of amenities, you wouldn't be interested in discussing it or working with it, or you would be?
I think if somebody, whether it's someone from the community or it's someone from the city, can provide a resource or a path towards making that possible, I would obviously, I won't say no to having a discussion. I just think we've had numerous discussions with the city. We've looked at the zoning code. We looked at various incentives. Even just getting this was very tight. If you're talking about, I hate it when developers use the word pencil, but getting it to be feasible. If this was already tight, and we've gone through multiple rounds of discussions on, hey, what can we do here? What can we do there? What resources do we have? I just think, this is me just speaking frankly, I just think it would be very hard to make that possible for this site specifically.
Because of the funding? That's what I'm just checking. Is it because of the funding?
I think it's part of the funding. It's part of frankly, the width of the building. It's narrow and it's part of the zoning. I mean, it would take, I can't even imagine how long it would take to go through and get the adequate use permits for this. Whereas, obviously housing is a permitted use.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Catherine?
Yes, I'd like
Catherine?
to know if there are going to be on-site residential managers on either of these buildings.
Yes, the intention is that we would have an on-site representative that obviously if there are any concerns from the residents or from neighboring residents, that they have somebody to go to.
And do you have an assigned company that you're going to be using for that?
I believe we mentioned this a little bit earlier. We are a couple years away from making that determination. We are going back and forth between whether that is in-house management or third-party management. But frankly speaking, we probably wouldn't make that determination until the beginning of 2027. So, couple more months.
Okay, and finally, going back to the parking, I'm assuming that you're required to have handicapped parking.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I'm delighted.
Thank you very much for your comments. I really appreciate it.
Go ahead.
Hi, I was just wondering for the Cardinal Waikiki, are the size of the units, like the one bedroom, the same as the Alawai, or what's the size of the two bedroom as well?
Sure. The units are, the one bedrooms are very similar size. The dimensions vary ever so slightly, but the whole idea here, part of, being able to create, more housing yesterday is almost looking at it like a prototypical approach. Is like we don't want to reinvent the wheel. If something works, it works, and if it doesn't, then we constantly refine it. So that's hopefully on the next few projects we'll be able to say, okay, these are the lessons learned from these first few projects. Let's if this works, oh, hey, let's keep at it. If something doesn't, let's refine it. To answer your question about the two bedrooms, there are 2-bedroom stacks on both ends of the building. I believe one is of roughly 650 square feet, and the larger one is closer to 300 or 730 square feet. And the larger one would be a 2-bed, 1.5 bath.
Seeing no hands.
With the unit sizes, there's quite a few unit mix similarities to our KO Lane project. So the studio or one bedroom, these are one bedrooms, they're a little bigger than the studios and ones that we had on KO. So those were the most sought after units in that project in Kakako, 209 units. So both of these parcels actually could be subject to that type of development, which would be afforded under the 201H process. If you guys are familiar with the 201H process, it's an affordable housing initiative with the state and city. So it allows a lot higher density with also no parking. So I think from the Bill 7 initiative as a by right initiative, the 32 units here and the 40 units there with 0 parking, I think it depends. Again, I wouldn't say just because you can do it, you should do it, because that's not their goal. the project that we delivered with Keoho Lane was 209 units. It had an option for tenants to buy into parking with the adjacent 42-story tower. Most of those tenants, I say overwhelming majority, did not opt into that. So that's 209 units basically with no parking. So kind of order of magnitude, I know parking's been discussed a lot. That is a huge initiative of the city and counties to get people out of cars. We've been charged with that. The Alawai site actually was an affordable housing project competition that the city and we competed with other developers for the best affordable housing solution. But I just like to share that because that's a good analogy, the Keoho Lane project and these unit sizes, as well as the parking analogy. So if this was a 201H project, you could easily triple the unit count with possibly no parking. But that's not our goal. I'm not saying that, but for a similarity, if you've ever been to Keoho Lane, that's down to earth, and some of those things are on the first floor in Kakako on Keapi Street. So good similarity from the unit size.
I do have a question from Anthony online. Anthony, are you there?
I am. So both of these are located within the climate sea level rise inundation zone, as well as the tsunami zone. So I was wondering, how does the design align with that, or was there some type of special permitting applied to this project?
I believe the question was with regards to flood zone or inundation zone requirements. So Alawai is that flood zone, that medium flood zone is eight feet, right? Or Alawai, sorry, is 8 feet. So the first level, it cannot be occupied with occupiable living, domiciles where you'd sleep. So that, I think Martin mentioned, that program is undefined. Similarly, we do not have units on the first floor for Kaneloa. The flood elevation actually is a lot lower here. I think we're just about 3 or something like that. So we're above that elevation here at our finished floor, but we can't have, it can't be occupied at the first floor within, I think the other way to address that, if were possible from a cost, is you lift the entire structure. So some of the flood inundation efforts with Howard Hughes, I think if you look at some of those podium projects, their entire retail is elevated 4 or 5 feet off the street level, which is why those areas in Kakako are elevated. Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I don't see any more hands. This does comply with the Waikīkī Special District Plan, does it not?
It's actually from Waikīkī Special District. We've met with Alex, right? What's that? Yeah, Alex Beatty several times. From a Bill 7 initiative, Bill 7 is actually exempt from Waikīkī. We took the effort to meet with Alex directly to try and make sure he has a say in it. So we did meet with him by right. Under Bill 7, it's not a requirement, similar with 218H. If you're just building under a straight apartment zone, then you would have to meet all requirements, and that would change parking, matrices and everything else.
Okay.
Question, Ren. I believe it's apartment mixed use. Do you have a plan on anything else? Apartment zone mixed use in both lots?
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's an apartment precinct, which I don't think would allow any other uses other than housing. I think the only reason why I remember that is because if you recall, the 2533 Kaneloa Road was previously used as a parking lot, and when we went through the DPP records, DPP had actually given them a notice of violation that parking, off-street parking, was not an allowable use in the apartment precinct. Unfortunately, we love having integrated mixed-use structures. For these two projects, it would have to be a singular use, which is housing.
Any further questions from the board members? Audience? Online? This is going to go to another public hearing from the city council. Board members, would you like to make a motion to support the concept only of this, two buildings?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, there's motion and a second. And we're not guaranteeing it's going to be built or any of that because it has to go through complete permitting and special district use and all that. So further discussion on the motion on the floor to support the concept of the buildings? Seeing none, I'd like to have a roll call vote.
Okay, so when I call your name, please say yes, no, or abstain regarding the 1615 Alawai Boulevard and 2533 Kanaloa Road. Okay, when I call your name, please say yes, no, or abstain. Amu? Okay. Anderson?
Yes.
Nordahl?
Yes.
Okay. Carbonaro?
Yes.
Okay. D. Orazio? Okay. Erdecheck? Okay. Fellick? Okay. Finley? Okay. Hensky?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Height?
Yes.
Okay. Daniel?
Yes.
Okay. Sirota?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Okay. And Sarah? Are you still on? Oh, she's on. Okay. The motion is adopted.
Thank you. And before you start construction, we totally expect you back here with details, who to call if it's too noisy and all that sort of thing. And
Very good,
thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you for being with us tonight.
No, thank you, Chair Finley, and thank you, Board. For the rest of the community, as we go through the process with 1615 Alawai, we do have a website in case you folks want to follow along, in case you want to write them down. So it'll be on our website. It'll be www.centre, so center is spelled the British way, centre-urban.com/1615 Alawai. So you'll have more information on the project there and regular updates as we go through the timeline that we mentioned. But we'll stick around. We'll talk story in case there's any more questions. We do have some suggestion baskets back there. So you'll see two with different flashcards. One is blue for the blue one, Kaneloa Road. One is red for the red one, which is 1615 Alawai. We definitely want to hear your mana'o. We want to hear your feedback. We want to be able to, if within reason that we can make a change or have a suggestion, we want to hear that. So thank you all again and have a happy holidays.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, we have approval of minutes.
Chair, if I could.
Oh,
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to discuss a PIG.
Amend the agenda to do what?
To discuss a PIG. Yes. For the legislative session.
How many board members do we have here? I'm checking to see if we have enough board members to actually do that. Okay, there's a motion on the floor to amend the agenda to consider a permitted interaction group regarding legislation for 2026. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, that's correct.
And there is a second. Any further discussion on that? Yeah. So we'll take a roll call. Those in
I'm not clear what the rules are in terms of, are we allowed to do that? I mean, there are certain things you can amend the agenda to add. Then there are certain kinds of issues that you're not allowed to amend the agenda for. So I'm just trying to understand where this fits. I don't have any problem with the underlying I mean, I'm just not clear for allowed to do it, if it's not on the.
But from what
agenda.
I'm reading, as long as we have at least a 2/3 vote, we can amend it. And I want to explicitly state that this amendment to the agenda is not of reasonably major importance and will not affect a significant number of persons because we're only an advisory board.
Right, you can't change the agenda to add some really major issue, but this is kind of more of a ministerial procedural kind of a thing.
Correct. This is just to advise the legislature
Yeah.
of issues that the board feels is important.
Yes, Ralph.
It seems that timing is also of the essence in order to provide some information to the legislature. So I think that this is another good reason for amending the agenda.
Sure. When I call your name, please say yes, no, or abstain to add the formation of the pig to the agenda. Okay, Amu? Okay, Anderson?
Yes.
Okay, Nordahl?
Yes.
Caballero?
Abstain.
Abstain, okay. D. Orazio? Okay. Erdachak? Okay. Fellick? Okay. Finley? Okay. Hensky?
Abstain.
Abstain. Height? Yes. Okay. Daniel Jacob?
Yes.
Okay. Sorota?
Yes.
Okay. Smith?
Yes.
Okay. 10, 11. That's 11 for yes and 2 for abstain, so it doesn't pass. Yeah, we need 12.
So the motion then does not pass. We need 2/3 of the actual allowed number of members of the board, so that's 17 to do that. Okay. But we will get a PIG made, so. Approval of minutes. Does anybody have corrections to the October 14th draft minutes that were sent out with your agendas? See, no corrections. All in favor of accepting the motion or the minutes as drafted? And we can always go back if you find something later and go back and change it. So a show of hands, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Yeah. So motion, the minutes are approved as drafted. Sub-District 1, Mertz is in Australia. I don't think he can make a comment tonight. Jillian, anything from Sub-District 2? Catherine from Sub-District 3?
Yes, I just wanted to wish everybody a very happy holidays and to thank all of you for all the hard work you put in on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, chair report. We will have a PIG put together in January, but do not wait. Come up with your ideas for things that we should consider. I know the public safety group has 2 resolutions that would have to go to the legislature for action. So include those 2. Other than that, and I'd like to remind you, we started the meeting reminding everybody that the Neighborhood Commission Office wants everyone to better identify themselves using their format that they put in the emails. If you're concerned about safety and you don't put your home phone, I don't care. That's fine. If you want to make up a new email address, whoever at neighborhood board number 9 dot, Gmail, fine. That's good too. But the people that vote for you need to know how to get in touch with you. So they should be able to send you an email. I've had my home address on that for the past 20 years, and believe me, I get mail. Sometimes I like it, sometimes, anyway. So some neighborhood assistance stuck on your Toys for Tots, which I didn't know about. And if you would like to collect Toys for Tots for the December 6th pickup by the United Bike Riders, you can drop them off at the Elks Club or drop them off with City Hall, or drop them off with, I think a library will do that as well. So it's a good cause. Having gone through our business for the evening, I'd like to wish everyone a happy holidays. We'll be back in January, and please help us put away the tables and chairs. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.